Well, class, if you haven't figured it out yet, chapters 7, 8, and 9 really blend together pretty well. Chapter 7, leadership in communities, chapter 8, leaderships in teams and groups. And now we have leadership in organizations with chapter 9. And it's basically understanding and renewing the complexities of these organizations. So as you read chapter 9, I want you to think about an organization that you're part of or that you want to work with. Can you find the mission statement of that organization? Why is it important to have that information? Well, we know that without a mission and a vision, there's uncertainty of what are we working towards. So does the mission statement actually reflect what you feel is the mission of the organization? So sometimes we post things, as I mentioned previous days, Enron with their values and what they want to do, but their actions didn't fall in line with that. So I want you to also think about the core values and the vision. So the complexities of an organization, organizations, marketing, the ones that get it figured out, they're really good at putting out what they're wanting to do, and they can, you can edit some things together to make it look really nice. But what are the actual daily interactions that move the mission forward? So when thinking about the organization's culture, what are the values in the organization, but also what are your values? And I want you to think about even a little bit deeper, who are your heroes? And what do all these heroes tell you about values of your organization, the values that you're holding within? So you can describe your organization in regards to the four frames of the organization, which we'll get into. And then also, lastly, I want you to think about how does technology impact the organization that you're part of and how it operates. So this chapter was pretty fun to look at the complexity of groups and organizations. So let me try to differentiate the two. Groups, small to medium, so who are they? 3+ participants. But then organizations, the way it's defined in the book, are 20+. So that's a larger organization. You got 20+ people. What is a group? It's a collection of individuals. Organization, well, it's a collection of groups. When continuous interactions for groups, both for organizations and groups, there's continuous interactions that fit that definition. Groups, it's important to have close proximity, but for organizations, proximity is not as important. It can range from very close to far away. Groups have very simple structures. Organizations, you guessed it, very complex structures. But the why is still consistent. There's purpose behind both. So in the textbook, it describes, and this could be an exam question, the traditional organizational structure where you have the hierarchy, the president, officers, committee chairs, participants, and members. But the inverted, as you flip that upside down, where it's a focus of the participant members are at top, the officers, and then the president, meaning it's a trickle down effect where the president is supporting the members beneath them, and then in the inverted, it's the ones above them. So the textbook goes through on mission statements, visions, core values. So the mission is, why does this organization exist? Vision, what is the ideal future for this organization? And then also the core values. How do we agree to treat others and ourselves as we pursue our mission and vision? I'll provide an extra slide for you that I use in some of my youth development courses that I got from a friend over at Camp Choye, Chris Radoff. But it's a very great image of the direction you're going within an organization. Some can be windy, some may be a little bit confused, but it talks about where the mission statement, the vision, the values, the outcomes, how that all play in. So be sure that when you look at the slides, go to the very last slide for extra resources, and I will provide that for you. But ultimately, when you're learning in organizations, there's hopefully capacity to grow. You've got to be able to change and adapt. Again, it's going back to Tuckman's model, but adapt to the challenges that are constantly changing in this turbulent world. Okay, it's we can all, I'm sure in every class you've heard, oh, when COVID happened, but it's the absolute truth. Organizations flipped upside down overnight. Running a nonprofit and being a part of the nonprofit world, just another thing that you don't think that happens, but during a pandemic, a lot of these large organizations, Dr. Pepper and the Coca-Colas of the world, and these Fortune 500 companies, the first thing to go is their philanthropy branch, okay? Their outreach, community outreach. So there's something called US Variety, They collect funds usually around 700 to $700,000 to $1 million a year, and resources to provide for grants. And when COVID hit, they went from a $700,000 grant bank account to 60,000. So that's just an example of the turbulent world that I was referring to. But the learning in organizations, there should be opportunities for personal mastery. There should be some mental models. That's assumptions that people make about various aspects of the world. So those are included within an organization, a shared vision, and then team learning at an organizational level. And then lastly, it talks about the organizational renewal of, quite honestly, being able to identify, recruit, and prepare, mentor future leaders of the organization. So I provide some examples within the slides, and also there's one video that talks about Zappos and their organizational culture and just their focus on identifying and recruiting and really retaining some workers that meet their mission and vision, which I think is pretty important. But have a happy and healthy day, make good friends, good decisions. And hopefully by the end of this chapter, you understand where mission, vision, core values, outcomes really tie into the whole complexity of an organization versus a group.